G'day legends, welcome to the Pot Noodle. I'm your host Jared, and joining me tonight is Shano Shelby. How you going, mate?
Uh, better, as I was telling you off air. I've been holed up most of last week, bedridden a little bit with COVID. The spicy got me down again, and I only just recently started to get over that, and feeling much better than I was, say, Tuesday or Wednesday last week. That's for sure.
And for those watching on video, those on the audio stream, there's been comments about Shane's hat the last few weeks. So he's and wearing it backwards the wrong way, so he's rocked something completely different tonight. I've told him he can borrow my tiara whenever he wants.
I'll be right, thanks, mate.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I was going to do a little rundown. So for the pod tonight, we'll be talking about the Livy game. There's quite a bit of transfer action. Looks like it's starting to heat up finally. So we'll talk about that. We have a Champions League second leg game to talk about. And yeah, of course, we have a certain little thing called, and the pod is called "Winning Isn't for Everyone." And want to have a look at the ladder at the moment because only 4 teams have actually won a game in Scottish football after what 2-3 games. It's odd. So we'll have a bit of a chuckle at that too. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you can hit that like button, helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So every little bit helps. But yeah, so Shano, Livingston. That was the most ridiculous game going on. You see the team list, and I always start off, how are you feeling heading into the game, right? When we go through the starting lineup after seeing it. Yeah, I don't think there's a single person on this planet, right, that is being honest with themselves if they thought that lineup was going to win 3-0. Okay, like me, I said on the pod last week, I had to be 2-1, right? And I still thought we'd win by a goal. I didn't think it'd be 3-0, right? And we know Livy, they're going to come in. They don't have any players under 6 foot. They're a bunch of hammer throwers. They're coached by a druggie. And yes, I said it. It's not alleged. I don't have to. But it was just a weird one. Like that lineup, some of the combos, like that's what I just, like you could have given that to an AI supercomputer and told them to predict the Celtic lineup from that squad 100 times and they wouldn't have picked that exact lineup. It was ridiculous. So I'll go through it, obviously. So Kasper Schmeichel in goals. Okay, cool. We all saw that coming, right? Right back. Ralston. He's the only one we've got fit. We saw that coming. But then Dane Murray and Captain Scalinhos in Scales, that was the thing that jumped out straight away. I love it. Like Dane Murray, what a player. He's improving so much. He's such a Rogers type player. Scales as skipper, great. And then the old player that was told a couple of weeks ago that he's not up to it defensively, Inamura at left back. I know we've got to rest players for the Champions League. 6 changes. Middle of the park. Engels and Bernardo. I hate when those two play together normally because they seem to 1A, 1B, too much of the same. And then Luke McCowan. Up front, Shin got a start. Nigram pushed out to the right. Yang on the left. No chance in hell you would have picked that lineup. I listened to enough Celtic pods leading into it for their predictions that I think I've checked about 7 of them since, plus all our ones. Not a single person got it right. Funny lineup. So how'd you think? How'd you feel when you saw that lineup, Shane?
Well, it was a strange one to try and process. I think initially I'd kind of gone really ultra negative on my take and thought maybe this was Rogers trying to send another message to the board. Then, as you correctly pointed out in the group chat, we've got a very important Champions League tie coming up very early on in the week that we probably need to make sure we've got some bodies rested for. So, obviously, that gave way to more of the selections. I think for me, what was interesting were a couple of the ones you already highlighted, which was Dane Murray coming straight in and starting at centre half next to Scales. And then obviously Inamura was more of I think this is the last chance we would get to see him. And if we don't see him now, we're probably never seeing him in a Celtic kit again. So that was more of interest to me. I think everything else really wasn't maybe initially it was surprising, but then when you work it back, it's not as surprising, to be honest with you. Like, Yang up front, Nicholas played on the right a little bit. That's been okay. Yamada leading the line a little bit, obviously with Eder out. Yeah, it all kind of made sense a little bit in the end, but I think definitely Murray, Scales as a centre half pairing, and Inamura were more of the ones where I was like, well, that's very surprising.
Yeah, it's a bit of a interesting one. So the thing for me, like with Big Dane coming in, I have no problem with that. I actually like that idea. He's our own player. It's been so long since we've had a youth academy prospect come through and break into the first team, particularly at a key position like centre back. I think the last one that did that potentially at centre back would be what, Owen O'Connell, and he didn't do much. And then before him, I think you my memory's not the greatest, but it's probably John Kennedy. Let's be honest, there hasn't been a lot of centre backs come through Celtic at their long term. You got Stephen Welsh, obviously, but what's he done? I think Dane Murray's gone past him. So it's good to see that. But at the same time, the other question, and this is what I thought, if Murray's coming in and Simpson Pusey's not even on the bench, why have we loaned him? It makes no sense. You're resting players for Champions League. You've got Trusty's injured, right? Carter Vickers is getting rested. Scales is still playing, which is great, but he's been our cover for at left back for Tierney, and will have to be that for the Champions League because let's be honest, we didn't put Inamura in the squad. So realistically, you're risking a bit there. So that's the game where I thought we'd see, Jamar Simpson Pusey for the first time. Didn't happen. So that was one that confused me. The other one was I love seeing young players come through. So young Colby Donovan coming on, right?
Yep.
I have to keep reminding myself it's Colby Donovan. It's not Casey Donovan, Australian Idol winner from back 15 years ago. If you're unsure, look it up. You'll be shocked. But it's Colby, so I got to yeah, like it's good seeing him come through. Jamesy, Colmac, Days, and Johnny Kenny coming on, doing well as well. But so it was good to see Carter Vickers, Rio, and Tierney all got a complete rest. But the thing for me is, did we loan Simpson Pusey? If he's not even in the squad, is he injured? Is he that unfit? Because I honestly reckon, Shane, the fitness level you're in at the moment, you could have potentially got a Guernsey on the bench in this squad.
Yeah, no, I would. I'd happily come on at centre half as well. Absolutely, sign me up. I'll do a job. For those of
Blame
you who aren't aware, there's a very famous Melbourne Victory player called Lee Broxham, who is roughly similar height to myself, who had to fill in at centre half and did it with aplomb for many years. So I'm just basically putting myself in that category. But no, in all seriousness, to answer your question, I'm really not too sure. Are we seeing, and I hate to re-reference it so quickly, but are we seeing another sort of Inamura situation where we're bringing someone in, but then we don't think they meet necessarily, or they're at the level we think they need to be at already, right? It could be another one of those scenarios. It didn't actually cross my mind until you mentioned it, really. Like, I just obviously took stock of Murray being in and being partnered with Scales, but it didn't cross my mind about Pusey Smith being available or not. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, to be honest, mate. You could put it in a mirror category.
Have we got buyer's remorse? Just looking at it that way. Looks like Brendan's got that about Inamura. Like he wants him. Like I look at Inamura and go, there's a player there. But I think a season on loan, like the Ryan Christie sort of loan or the Chris Ayers sort of loan within Scottish football for a season will do him perfect. And will toughen him up and get him ready for next season to come in, hit the ground running. You said if we didn't see Inamura in this game, we're probably not going to see him in a Celtic shirt this season. He'll be playing for us next season. That's my opinion.
Well,
But
I might just jump on that straight away, to be honest, because then we're not going to when we can get past him when we get to the match. But I didn't see. How do I put this? When I got to the end of that match, I know I'm skipping forward a little bit. I didn't see anything as to why he hadn't been in the matchday squad. There was nothing that I saw in that performance that made me go, yes, Brendan was right, and he hasn't been picked for a reason. Sure, maybe maybe there were a few moments where defensively he was a little bit lax, and maybe that he could have been a bit better. But overall, he most certainly should be making the matchday squad. And I enjoyed actually what he brought from a passing perspective and the way he linked up at times. So I left a little bit perplexed as to why he hadn't made a squad until now, let alone actually got onto the pitch.
Okay, so on the back of that, I look at it and go, I can understand why Brendan probably doesn't play him. When you got Tierney in front of him, makes sense, right? I get it. But he should be in the squad because Scales at left back gives me the fear, particularly in Europe, right? He works hard, he does the job, but you've got a guy there that is actually a left back. The thing with Inamura, he is the sort of left back that I complain about when they're playing, but I like seeing gung ho guys who like to get forward and bomb on. My concern is when they put all their effort going forward, but then don't get back and defend, and they get caught out of position. And that's the defensive issues that I think Brendan's spotting in him, because in this game, there was a couple of times where he was slow in transition back and he was caught out of position. So maybe that's the thing, but he's passing and he's getting forward and trying to make crosses in and get into the box and stuff. There's a player there. But I
Yeah,
think he needs like 12 months of playing regularly in Scotland to bring that out of him.
and I'm not suggesting for any stretch that he starts ahead of Tierney or that we play him a certain number of times during the season or anything like that, right? Hopefully he'll get some league or cup opportunities. And that's where I think his level's at right now. He's most certainly not at the level to fight Tierney for that place at left back. But having him as an option and being able to call upon Inamura instead of Scales at left back, like I said, I left that game going, I'm not too sure why Brendan hasn't brought him in until now. I think, and I agree with you, I think there is a player there, and I would like to see more when the time is right.
Let's look at it this way, Shane. If he was out for a season on loan at, say, I'm just going to have a quick look at the ladder, right? So, or the table as they're calling it. If he was out for a full season on loan at, say, Motherwell or Killy or Dundee or St Mirren, one of those four clubs, he would be a quality player in the league, getting repetitions in and potentially taking points off the Huns. So I just look at it and go, that loan is what he probably needs. But anyway, we'll talk. We could go on and on about this. I'm gonna get through some comments, then we'll get back to the game. So, Postman Tim, hi lads, terrified about the game tomorrow night. It's the biggest game we'll play this season. I hope to Jesus we can scrape through despite the shower of bastards in the boardroom. Pete McGee saying more worried about the Italian officials on the board for tomorrow night. Smell the glove. Hail, hail, vegan pie, anyone? Brilliant. What do we got here? Just trying to. What do we got here? Scrolling through. Andrew Galea. I love seeing the second stringers. Yeah, that's something that it's great when you have a weekend like we've had where second stringers get out there and get a win. The Huns drop points, and we've potentially made a signing. I'm in a pretty happy spot, right? Yeah. So there you go. Maddie's saying about Inamura. I thought Inamura's passing was snappy and looked great. Andrew's saying Rogers is a tough man to impress regarding Inamura.
That's true.
Square Sausage Mick, Engels played well. Yep. And Andrew saying Pusey might have to play right back. What do we got here? Beat McGee. I like the look of young Donovan.
Yep.
And there you go, Pete McGee. Shane, what's that on your head?
See, you get negative comments wearing a backwards hat, then you go for a stylish looking flat cap, and then you get comments the same.
And then Square Sausage just saying Shane should try wearing a top hat or make him taller.
I'm not going to say that I haven't got one. Put it that way.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll just get back to the game, Shano. So first half, what was your thoughts?
Um, First half was an interesting watch. It was an enjoyable watch, I'm not gonna lie. And I echo the comments, which I think was Andrew Galea regarding the second stringers comments. And it was good to see this team come together and play and see how they sort of work together. Um, Endeavour, effort, energy, that was all faultless in my opinion. I thought we just lacked that cutting edge. That final ball wasn't quite there. We lacked that quality, particularly in the final third. We were getting the ball into good areas. As I said, I thought our tempo was quite good. Our passing was all right. And just when we got into good areas in the final third, we just didn't have that quality or that final ball to make anything happen. There are a couple of chances, and maybe we could have done better with them. But overall, we just seemed to be missing something. And yeah, I couldn't. I that was it really. That just that one piece was missing overall from that first half, which, as I said, I thought the team equipped themselves pretty well, the second stringers, if you will. And importantly, I thought that they kept pushing as well, right? They kept trying to look for that first goal. They kept trying to make things happen. And part of that lack of quality might have also been the fact that this team hasn't probably ever played together, right? This is a whole group of a starting 11 that's probably not too familiar with each other, and there's a few players in there that, in Miramura's case, hasn't played at all, during the season, and Murray's obviously just come in. So there's obviously a little bit of getting to know each other there, a little bit of cohesive is the word I'm looking for there, that probably isn't there. And I think that probably explained the sort of disjointedness, particularly when we got to the final third. Overall, pleased with the endeavour, but just lacking a bit of quality up top.
Yeah, for me,
Apart from Negrin, I'll say Negrin was the only one that I think was really had that quality edge. I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget that.
there was the one play with Nigrin where he looks like he's dribbling up and he's lost. He's been caught up with because he just looks. He looks like he's just running on quicksand when he's moving. But gets up there and he manages to bump the guy off and he gets the shot and the guy cops the ball square in the stomach to clear it in the first half. I thought that was probably our only decisive move up front.
Mm,
Everything else was that final ball, that final pass, that moment that we needed just to beat a man to get a shot away wasn't there.
yep.
So, yeah, I thought it was a bit of an interesting one. The thing for me as well, was like half time. I don't have the halftime stats anymore, but I've got the full time stats here, and I'll just quickly rattle through them. But it was a bit of an interesting one, all things considered, because normally we have like recycle the ball, recycle the ball. How much of that did we have in this game, Shane?
Oh, you are testing me off the top of my head. If you want me a very generic answer, it
It's a good
felt like
general
we had
comment.
look. It felt like we had control of the game, right? And I
Yeah,
thought that we were actually recycling the ball a fair bit, to be honest with you, in terms of actually putting some sort of numerical figure or percentage. No
no,
chance.
don't want that. Okay, so for me, some of the games this season, including preseason, we look like we get the ball and straight away we just look backwards and pass back straight away. And in this game, I thought when we got the ball, we looked forward a lot more. We looked to our pass to our midfield. We looked to pass to our forwards or our wingers. We didn't just get the ball. Oh, they've got two lines of five there. Let's just get it back, recycle, 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 hit it across the back. So I was actually shocked, and this is why I asked you that question. When I looked at the passing stats at the end of the game, so how much possession do you think we had? Just take a rough punt.
80%.
Yeah, so 79% to 21%. The difference here is we had 739 passes. They had 193. So that's 546 more passes than them. But it didn't seem like it was the monotonous, boring pass it back, go to your left back, go to your centre back, go to your right back, pass to one midfielder, go to your left back, and just rotate, rotate. It didn't seem like that. It seemed like, okay, let's look up. Okay, let's go to a winger. Let's go to a midfielder. Let's try and create something. So, and the players that I wanted to talk about for that in particular was Engels and Bernardo. They got the ball in the middle of the park and they were looking forward. So there was a big difference there. The other thing is we had that many passes at a 90% pass accuracy. They had almost 550 less passes than us, only 66% pass accuracy. So we smothered them.
Yep.
But the thing is, we had 10 corners, 19 shots, only 9 on target. We need that final ball. And
Yep.
that's the key thing there. But for me, I didn't realize it was such a massive difference in the stats there when watching the game compared to in other games when you play them. You can tell, yeah, we've passed probably 500-600 more times and it's just whipping it across the back. So it was different. It was good.
Yeah, yeah, it felt like we were probing a fair bit more. Like it was interesting because you'd look at it and go, "Well, we didn't really create much." And I think that's still fair, but you can still get the ball into good areas and look to be positive without anything actually coming from it. And that's what we were seeing a lot of, is that we're able to get the ball, and particularly the players like Yang. Yang was able to get on the ball a lot. Now, again, kind of to me, he kind of encapsulates the whole first half a little bit in his performance. Great endeavor, fantastic energy and effort, constantly looks to get on the ball and make something positive happen. But that quality of final ball, whether it's a cross or a cutback, just isn't there for him. He kind of encapsulates that entire first half of the team for me. Just fantastic will and desire to push forward and try and be positive, but just that lacking that final ball.
I'm going to jump on you. You brought him up. So I brought up a player early on and we've jumped on that on a tangent. So we'll jump on this Yang one. Okay. It's pretty bloody simple. Yang on the right wing drives me insane. He always wants to come inside, right? He'll duck inside onto his left foot, and he's terrible at it. He can't beat a man going outside, but you get him on the left in that Scott Sinclair role, left-sided winger coming back onto his right foot, and he actually looks like he has a bit about him. Like he's able to get himself in position. He's got a couple of nice shots away. He's getting in there and looking for passes, and he's looking more threatening. So, have we found the backup winger for the left in terms of we bring someone in, but then is Yang your backup winger? So then Maida can stay at striker.
For me, no. And like I get the positivity in terms of his effort, and he could beat a man and get past, but for me, not quite. I just that quality, and I'll draw your attention to the shot. I'll comment first, and I'll bring you back to the header he had. I'm just still a bit frustrated by his output when he does get into the right areas. It just feels like that's still lacking for me, and I wouldn't want to have that trust in that as a backup just yet. If he can improve in that space, absolutely, I'm on board because he can beat a man. He's got great pace. But and I'm curious for your take on it, which was pretty much just before halftime. That ball across from Negrin where Yang's hitting it hard and the keeper makes the save. I can't decide whether it's a poor finish and Yang should do better or whether it's a really good save. I can't decide.
Can I say it's 6 of one, half dozen the other?
I just yeah,
I
I'm
can't
glad
see
someone
it
else
either.
agrees with me because I cannot like I first saw it and thought he should be scoring that. He's got to be putting it across him. And then I see it again and go, geez, keeper's done really well at pace to save that. And I just land in the middle each time I think about it. And I was curious for your take.
You know why I asked that about Yang? I wanted to try and get the comments section going.
And you got me going instead. And I fell for the bait.
The thing is, right, Yang, he tries hard. What he reminds me of is, when Dazens first came in and he was trying hard, working hard on that wing, but he just wasn't getting much. His finishing touch and his cross wasn't there.
Yep.
Yang gives me that level of vibes, but say if you were to buy Dazen off Timu, that's the way I look at it. It's not quite the same player. But as Andrew Goulet is saying here, Yang's being held back trying to play to Rogers' instructions. Let him off the hook. And then McLaughlin is saying, I'd have Yang's desire over Ida every day of the week.
I love that new picture.
Yeah, it's best, isn't it? Yeah, so it's just one of those things where I just thought Yang he's got the work ethic. He's just not quite getting there with the striking. But What the only reason I brought him up is because on the left, coming back onto his right foot, he looks so much better than when he's on the right trying to do his thing out there. So we all know Rodgers likes his wingers to invert, come back inside so the fullbacks can overlap.
Yep.
So it suits him better. But anyway, second half. This is where all the goals happened. Over to you, Shane. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, what was pleasing is that we came back out in the second half with pretty much the same lineup. So Rodgers wanted to see that persist. He didn't make any immediate changes at halftime or any knee-jerk sort of halftime alterations, which I thought was good because, pardon me, that's the spicy cough kicking off again. I thought that the team had shown enough that starting 11 warranted at least 15 minutes or so in the second half to try and see if they could actually break the deadlock, and which they did. And it was our man Negrin. I'm calling it. He's our man now. I'm totally on board. And in the right spot at the right time for the first goal. And as I said, in the first half, he kind of stood out by comparison to everyone else because he looked like he had that quality and his positioning was great, and he benefited from that in the very early on in the first half. And it was great to get that deadlock out of the way, go one up, force them to just change a little bit. And then from there, it felt like we had a lot more control, and we were still lacking a little bit. I felt like we didn't really kind of get that quality in that final third until we made that raft of changes, which saw Maeda come on, which saw Kairat come into the middle, and I think Kenny came on up top. And that's when I felt like things started to gel a little bit more in that final ball. Game really started to get stretched at that point. And all of a sudden, it took a little bit of time, probably a bit longer than we thought it would, but eventually we were able to get the second with Negrin, again, in right position at the right time, wonderful finish. Then from there, the game was effectively over, and that third goal from Kenny, lovely assist from Maeda, was just the cherry on top of the cake, really. So overall, a very deserved 3 points, and I think 3-0 does reflect the actual our dominance of the game across both halves. But it definitely felt like a shift when we brought on the likes of Kairat and Maeda, that they brought something that we were just lacking in that first sort of 60 minutes or so.
You know what they brought, Shane?
Quality?
Not just qualities. Brendan loves that word. They brought experience playing together. That's
Yes,
the difference for me. When I saw that, those guys come on and it's just like bang, click straight into what they do. They know their role. If Dazen's in the middle, he knows what to do. If he's on the left, he knows what he needs to do. Kairat comes in the middle, he knows what he's supposed to be doing. So realistically, that's what it was to me. I just thought it was really good to see the first goal from one of our actual listed strikers this season in Johnny Kenny. Like, love it. I love watching him play. I think he's going to be a good option for us. And yeah, as Square Sausage Mick saying, maybe Kenny would be a good shout. He scored a few. His confidence will be up.
Yep.
There's his comment from McLaughlin. When Kenny scored the third, Callum McGregor was telling Inamura to pass it back up to the halfway line in the build-up. What's that all about? I didn't notice that, but that would not surprise me because, as I said earlier, Engels and Bernardo were looking forward. Every time they got the ball, they're looking forward, not backwards. Interesting one there. But yeah, I just look at it and go, Johnny Kenny's finish, great cross, good finish. And then you've got, the Negrin ones. There was a comment early on about Negrin. Where is it? Trying to find it. I want to get the quote the person who said it. We're talking about the wingers, and it was Negrin dominating when he just ignores Brendan. There we go, Andrew Galea. Negrin is not following Rodgers' instructions on the right wing and ends up dominating. Rodgers wanted him hugging the line. There you go. It's funny when that happens. But, yeah. Yeah, I'll have a look at that, McLaughlin. Honestly, I want to see that now. I'm going to go watch the replay after this to check it out. But player focus, Shane. Anyone else you want to talk about, or you think we've covered the majority of them?
I think we've covered the majority of them. Obviously, Negrin, I thought, was the best player on the park for us. And I love the versatility he's bringing as well. So he's got that quality, but the fact that he can play on the right wing, but then he can drop back into the midfield and play in the midfield when Forrest comes on. I'm really enjoying that from him. I thought he was excellent. I want to give Shin Yamada a little bit of a shout out too. I know he didn't obviously end up with a goal, but seeing him get the start, I really liked what he brought in that first half. I liked his movement. I liked the way he was occupying the centre halves, and he just looked a lot more agile than what we'd seen earlier in the season from Eder and Kenny. And he arguably could have done better with that opportunity just before he came off, but we got a player there, I think, and I'm looking forward to seeing him get some more opportunities as well.
He put a shift in. I'll say that much.
Worked very hard.
I'm going to say the movement of Kyogo, the finishing of O. That's what his game was like on the weekend. And
Yeah, there's a
that's not a
throwback.
bad thing. Like, he didn't mind getting into the battle and, bumping guys around and getting physical, which was good to see. But we just need that finishing to improve, but that will come. The more he plays, he'll get better crosses. The guys will know where to put the ball for him, and he'll start banging in the goals. There's a player there, definitely.
Rolled his marker a couple of times too, which I thought was impressive. Again, that agility I really liked, and I think I thought this was an opportunity. And look, it might have been a little bit hard because of the fact that Bernardo and Engels were playing well next to him. But I thought this was an opportunity for McCowan to step up, and I thought he probably didn't have the best of games. He was loose with his passing. He just really couldn't get involved at all, and he was hooked on 58 minutes, unsurprisingly.
So usually what we'd do, Shane, is we would go man of the match. We all know it's Nigrin. We don't need to talk about any of that, so it's done. But Craigie White, for me, both Sinn Féin and Kenny have moved in front of Eder. We're talking about McCowan in the midfield. So what I want to do, and then we got Craigie saying, even you and me, Shane, have moved ahead of Eder in the pecking order.
You've not seen me play, Craigie. I'm most certainly not ahead of Eder in the pecking order.
All I'm going to say, Craigie, is if I play, I go on at centre back and just kick lumps out of people until I get a card. So that's my job. I don't do any of that other stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, what's your listing for striker position? Okay, do you want to have a think and I'll rattle mine off for a moment on the depth chart? So
No,
do the same for central midfield as well.
I'm happy to go. Like in terms of leading the line, I've probably got Kenny ahead now. I'd go Kenny 1. I'm still going to put Eder second for now. I want to see a little bit more from Yamada, but I've got Kenny in front now. Kenny, then Eder, then Yamada for me.
So for me, you've completely missed the main one. It's Dazen is the first striker option. If he can play at striker and we have wingers in, then it's him through the middle. If he has to play on a wing, then for me, I'm 50-50. I don't know, it's going to either be Shin or Kenny. They're both at that same spot for me at the moment. Eder's attitude and his work rate has dropped him down to fourth drop for me at the moment. So, yeah, he's down that list a bit. He needs to improve. But let's see him banging some goals. You know what's going to happen? We're going to play this Champions League game tomorrow. He's going to start. He's going to score a hat-trick on the road and then come in being all fucking Adam big balls on the weekend into a derby and just smash some Huns. So, let's be honest. That's what I'm expecting.
Is he, sorry to go off on a different tangent, is he actually back tomorrow? Because I was reading that he was still out for the game against Kairat.
I don't know. I'm just thinking what Brendan would probably do. If he's out, then it's going to have to be, I don't know, Maeda through the middle.
It's a conundrum, that's for sure.
Nigren on a wing, Yang on the other wing. There you go. That's probably what it is, and all Jamesy. And Pete McGee, please tell me what Kenny has done to convince people he's better than Eder. Is it because he's Irish? They're both Irish, mate.
That's true.
So, okay, for me, with Kenny, it comes down to two things. One, work rate. That's the thing for me. I don't want a striker that looks lazy, okay? And that's the thing with Eder. Like, he doesn't look like he's putting in enough of a shift or he's got enough, up and go, like he's getting a lot of dig. And two, having spoken to someone who played against him in the League of Ireland last year, His yeah. Let's just say, I was saying if I played centre back, I don't mind kicking lumps out of people. I like that Johnny Kenny doesn't mind kicking lumps out of people too. He's got that bit of psycho in him. I love it. And I know that was the joke, Pete. I was being silly.
I would pick up on what you're saying, and look, there's definitely been times or games this year. Like I thought Eder was very good against St Mirren, and I thought the Aberdeen game it was hard to judge any centre forward in that game, just the way that it actually panned out. But there is a physical element that Kenny brings that I've seen a couple of times now that I really like. And he offers something a little bit different, I should say, from that element that I don't think Eder does. Now, I'm not writing Eder off by any stretch, and I think he will come back and play a significant role this season. Maybe this injury layoff, don't know. Maybe he's had a little bit of a niggle and it's finally got the best of him. Maybe he'll get right at this point. I don't quite know. Maybe the timeout will just have him a little bit reset. I expect he'll come back in and be involved. And I think he'll probably, the Maeda situation aside for a second, if we're talking about Maeda not playing up front, I think Eder will probably eventually work his way back to being that number 9. But right now, I like what Kenny's bringing physically, and I'd have him ahead of Eder on that basis.
You want to know who Kenny's game reminds me of? It's going to sound a little bit out there, Shane.
Sutton?
No. Reminds me of Gary Hooper.
Ooh.
Similar body type, can hold guys off and is strong enough and doesn't mind, kicking someone here and there, getting a bit physical. We saw that with Hooper down here in the A-League. He didn't mind getting into a bit of a push and shove and, elbowing someone or pushing someone or whatever. So he reminds me of him. So I don't know, I just like that sort of player. Anyway, so we'll leave that game behind. Transfer stuff. Okay, let's have a look at Pete McGee's. Ask yourself how Eder scored 20 goals last season. Could it possibly be that he was given the right kind of service, which he's been lacking this season so far? Asking for a friend. Is your friend's name Adam?
I think it's a fair point. I think, in all seriousness, it is a fair point. And that's it kind of ties into what I was talking about specifically with the Aberdeen game earlier. There was no centre forward was playing well in that game. But right now,
saying on that, sorry, I was jumping in with this one.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We don't really deliver properly to our strikers. They need to work hard and make things happen. Eder tends to wait to be found.
Yeah. And that work rate, I think, to jump on what you were saying before, is probably why we're looking at Kenny and even Yamada a little bit, because we're seeing that work rate a bit more. I definitely think there is an argument about the way that we play and the delivery into the strikers, right? And I think Eder does suffer from that. And his game and his ability to impact the game itself is impacted by that poor ability to find the centre forward. But by the same token, there are times where you just have to muck in. And I think this is what we were seeing against Kairat, where Rogers was basically imploring him to work harder and show for the ball a bit more. So that's why I'm looking at Kenny and Yamada at the moment, because I know I'm going to get that at this stage. I think Eder, there's no way this is the end for Eder, not by any stretch. And I fully expect him to come back and lead the line very soon.
I'm just going to say it. Andrew's pretty much got where I was going to go. It's certainly not Ange Ball anymore. I was going to say, if Eder was playing in a Ange type team, I think that would suit him more, because he's not really a target man. He's more a guy who likes to move and press. But when he's not being asked to do that role, he seems like he gets a bit of a huff. That's the thing for me that stands out. Like, he doesn't work as much. But anyway, I'm not going to bang on about Eder and just, seem like we've got we're trying to have a bloody burn some witches at the cross and stuff like that for him. Nah, mate, we don't need to do that. He's still our player. Let's get it. Let's get after it. So, transfers. Looks like Celtic have signed Michelle Ange Balikwisha, or as someone in the comments said, ball washer before. So it looks like we signed him. So about £5 million is the figure. So, yeah, we're finally getting our top winger target in. What are your thoughts, Shane?
Excited, and you've basically answered one of my questions. Is that I'm not super familiar with him, but looking into him over the past few days, I can see he's quite dynamic in terms of where he can play across the pitch. But it sounds like we're obviously bringing him in mind to play on that left wing. So if so, then I think that definitely frees up Dyson to run through the middle, which is what we all want to see. So on that basis alone, I'm quite excited by it. But seems like a good prospect. Had a couple of decent seasons at Antwerp, and one season in particular, he's banging in the goals and assists as well, which is really exciting. So I hope he can bring that form along.
So don't get too excited here, Shane, but the talk is, according to Stephen McGowan and some of the other stuff, that the plan for Celtic by the end of the window is to have another left back in, Balak Wisher, a striker, and another winger. That's the plan.
I thought you told me not to get too excited.
Yeah, so say don't get too excited because this is step one. We've got a winger.
Oh, right. You don't think I've got enough energy to get too excited by all that?
I'm looking after your health, mate, because you had that spicy cough, mate. I don't want you to pass out on air. So you got that, and then the second option is, so the second rumor is apparently we've agreed a fee with Feyenoord for Kelvin Stengs, another winger. So if you bring Stengs in to play on the right, Balak Wisher to play on the left, they can both play on either side. I'm happy as a pig in shit with the winger situation after that. I'm telling you, because then if you've got Maida who can play on the wing, you've got those two, Stengs and Balak Wisher, you've got Jota coming back in the new year, you've got Yang, you've got Forrest. 6 options. I'm happy as. We won't have to play Maida on the wing. Perfect. So
And that depth is much better. No, and that depth will be much better. And I like what Negrin's bringing on the right at the moment, but I'd much prefer him to bed down a spot in that midfield three.
You don't even count him in the wings. Far out.
I mean, yeah, I know. I mean, he is. That's where he's dominating at the moment, right? A little bit of a makeshift winger, if you will. So the depth up front, all of a sudden, with 2 signings, that depth up front, or the concern that we had, is all gone. And then all of a sudden, we've got those quality wingers. And then, not to reference it again, I know you wanted to kind of end on that chat before, but then we might see a little bit more of Adamita coming to the fore when he comes back into the team with those 2 wingers. So that's another really important signing for that as well.
100%. And then the talk about the left back situation. So apparently we've put in a bid to Boca Juniors for Uruguayan left back Marcelo Sirachi. So apparently it would be a 1-year loan where we pay a fee for him with an agreed fee also negotiated in off the back of that. So I think he's 26 or 27 years old, has played in Europe before in Turkey. The thing is, I'm not sure if the agreed fee is an obligation to buy or just an option to buy at an agreed fee, but if we were to bring him in, perfect. Happy days. We've got a quality backup there, which means, as we were saying early on, then Inamura will probably go on loan for that 12 months within Scotland. Happy with that. And then we can assess the two of them at the same time. But smell the glove, I feel exactly the same way. Smell the Celtic and South American players never work, was the comment. And yeah, I'll just think about the last couple of guys we've had from South America who play with left back for us. You remember their names there, Shane?
We got Bernabé, of course, the most recent, and we had Gamboa, and
You've left one out.
Emilio Izaguri.
You've left one out.
Who have I left out?
Diego Laxalt.
Oh, wow.
Uruguayan left back.
With very good reason, I left that out.
That was the COVID season. You just blocked
That's right.
off.
I blocked that from my mind completely.
So, yeah, we haven't had a good signing there. And then you have a look as well and go, and if we want to go back further, just other South American defenders, well, shite by name, shite by nature, basically, as well. So, for Raphael. So, yeah, it's a bit of a doozy there. So, look, if Celtic make it happen, apparently it's going to be a couple of £1 million to get Sirachi in. Yeah, he was at Galatasaray, McLaughlin. So if he comes in and he does the job for us, then yeah, I'd be happy for that. Yeah, forgot
Apologies.
that about
Sorry,
Sriracha.
smell the glove. You're right. I apologize for that.
That was the same with Gamboa as well. But Sriracha's played for Leipzig, that's right, versus us years ago as well, and he played in Turkey. It was either Besiktas or Galatasaray. Is it one of those two? So he's got some experience there. Well worth bringing him in. That covers off the left back position. Wingers are sorted. So the last position that Stephen McGowan mentioned was a striker. And Girona have told Bojan Miovski he can leave the club. Should Celtic be looking to swoop in and sign him, Shane? Because that's why I asked early on about the depth chart if you're putting it together. Because all the rumours at the moment is apparently the Huns are trying to get Miovski in. And we rated him when he left Aberdeen and went to Girona. And at that time there, we were saying we should have brought him in as Giakoumakis' replacement. So would you go back to the well and bring Bojan in, knowing he could do a job for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's quality, and we remember the quality when we played those Aberdeen teams where he was leading the line, and he was fantastic. I remember a couple of games where he caused us no end of trouble, and I like the way he plays. I like his ability to obviously not just score but get involved, right? And that's what we were talking about earlier with your centre halves. Centre forwards. So yeah, I'd totally go back and see if we can bring him in. As you're rightly pointing out, at the time that he initially left, or when Giakoumakis was leaving, and Ida around the time obviously Ida was coming in, we were talking about bringing in Bojan and seeing if he would actually come across, because he was a known entity and we'd seen that quality and we thought it was something we could really work with. So I'd definitely be keen if he's keen for him to come along.
The talk was £6 million for him when he left Aberdeen to go to Girona. If we wanted to buy him, it'd probably be half of that. That's what
Yep.
all they're out looking for at the moment. That's why the Huns are actually, poking around. They're thinking maybe we could look in the ashtray or someone's pocket. Go look in what's his name, Martin's masterclass book or whatever it is, and find some lint or something like that to pay for it. That's what they're thinking. But yeah, for me, I'll look at it and go, if we brought Majowski in, perfect, happy days. But what does that mean for the striker situation? We're probably one short anyway. I'll be like, Dazen would still want to start at striker, but then would Miovski want to come in and be a backup? No, he'd want to start. So then are we going to change our formation? If we're going to, we should have done that weeks ago. So I doubt that would happen. So the only obvious thing I can look at there would be, say, if we don't bring in Calvin Stengs and we decide to sign Miovski instead and then keep Dazen out on the wing until Jota's back, maybe that's the way to make it work. The other option is, do we sell Ida and just get Miovski and just be done with it?
Well, Majowski coming in is going to spell a lot of trouble for Ida, because I still think that our best starting 11 at the moment has Maeda running through the middle. And if we bring in Balak Wisher, I think that frees up Maeda to play through the centre. So then you are bringing Majowski in essentially as a backup. And I don't, if Girona's told him that he can leave, I don't see initially him coming in and playing behind Maeda being necessarily a problem, provided there's obviously a pathway to challenge for that number one spot going forward. What it does do is it probably means Kenny goes out on loan, which we mulled over potentially happening anyway when we filled another spot at striker anyway, or if Maeda moved across.
Him and
Yeah, exactly, and it spells. Yeah, you're right with Osman as well, and it spells a little bit of trouble for Ida and Yamada, to be honest with you. And I'd say Ida's days are potentially numbered if we do sign Majowski. That's the way I would read it. But his quality, I think, is absolutely worth pursuing, and I think he would be okay, playing somewhat second fiddle to Maeda, because I don't see Maeda running through the middle immediately and constantly just when we bring Balak Wisher in. I can see Rogers being a little bit dynamic with that. Sometimes Maeda would start on the left, in which case then you'd obviously have Ida or Majowski if he comes in leading the line. So he'd definitely get plenty of opportunities if we did bring him in.
So Roscoe's saying Ida, Kenny, Yamada, Osmond, and then Maeda, who in our opinion should be the main nine as things stand, 100%. So you look at it and go, Osman, the talk was when we signed him that he's going to go on loan for 12 months anyway and then play. So he'd go on the same sort of development loan as we're talking about for Inamura. But yeah, I don't know. I think Miloski could do the job for us, but then I think there's a massive log. It'll be too much, particularly if we were to bring in 2 wingers and then bring in him as a striker as well. And then we land his left back, which means we could even push Kieran up to left wing if we need to keep Maeda at striker. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one in my opinion. So I think Miloski could do the job for us, but I don't know whether we should be bringing him in unless if he comes in, someone's definitely departing.
I'm on board, but it's not an area I immediately think of. Like the wingers and the quality wingers is absolutely something. And then obviously the left back with the Inamura situation from Roger's point of view, they're critical. I guess, we've kind of had the debate about a number 9, but if Maeda moves across there, we've got that quality there all of a sudden. So it's not a position we urgently need Majovski to come in, but I'd still be interested in it and seeing if we can make it work.
Spell the Gloves saying, was watching the Racist Rangers rabble for a laugh yesterday. They said Miloski says he will only play for Aberdeen if he came back to Scotland. Cool. That's the end of it then, if we trust those clowns. Yeah, good fun. But anyway, I think we'll just leave the transfer talk there. We'll see how it plays out, but get your shit sorted, Celtic. Get the players in already. That's the way I look at it. So, Sevco dropped more points again. How funny, Shane.
They've been in a horrible run of form, and then they had to try and turn it around away to St Mirren. It was St Mirren who have done very well against them in recent history anyway. And let's be honest, they were never going there and getting a win. They were probably lucky in the end to come away with a point. And it's winless. 3 games into the new season, they're winless, and they're already 6 points adrift. It's remarkable.
And this is the funny thing, like looking at it, I mentioned it early on, and that's what the pod episode name was, Winning Isn't For Everyone. But having a look at it, we played 3-1-3. Hearts are 3 wins and a draw. Hibs is 1 win, 1 draw. Livy is a win, a draw, a loss. And then everyone else, not a single one of them from 5th down to 12th has won a game. It's so weird to see it at the moment. It's odd, but I love looking at can we call the season now? Because that means the Huns don't make the split. Aberdeen gets relegated. Livy's in Europe. I had to say that. Yeah, it's bit of a doozy, really. It's kind of funny, but anyway, I think what we'll do is we'll just we'll crack on to the Champions League chat real quick to finish the pod off. So next game's Tuesday, Wednesday morning for us over here in the Champions League, over against Kairat Almaty. So the Celtic will be closer to you and me, Shane, than they are to the fans over local in Glasgow. There you go. How good is that? And it's still a shit time for us.
I know.
It was like 2:45 a.m. kickoff, so it's right in the middle of that spot where you either have to go to bed early to get up for the game, or you get up and then you're just going to be shattered by midday for work the next day. It's just an awkward spot.
It really is. I'm undecided as what I'm going to do yet, but I'm not looking forward to it.
So how are you feeling heading into the match?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. There's definitely some nerves there, right? The result at Celtic Park, I think, was everything that pretty much all Celtic fans had feared was coming, really. We'd hoped it wasn't. We expected it not to happen, but I think in the back of our minds, we all worried that could have happened, and it did. And look at the outpouring of response and emotions that came from pretty much Celtic fans across all walks of life after that, and the frustration that obviously was on show, rightfully so, of course. And we've got to make a significant journey halfway across the world, go and get a result where I don't think any Scottish team or Scotland national team has ever, really, as far as I'm aware. So there's a challenge absolutely in front of us. We've got the quality. We can absolutely get the win and get through, and I do believe we will. But it could have been a lot easier. Sorry to look back on it like that, and we should have been going into this with at least some sort of a buffer to give ourselves a break. Now we have to make sure everything goes right. Any mistake is going to be punished, and we need to be very, very careful. But we can still win, and I still expect us to win.
I expect us to win as well. And the thing is, the Kairat manager has claimed Celtic underestimated his team in the Parkhead clash. That's what he's come out and saying. So, yeah, a bit of an interesting one that he hit out saying Celtic players may have underestimated us at home. Now they will look at our game in a different way. I think they will have a different motivation and attitude. Yes, there is a negative atmosphere around Celtic, but I think this is a team of high-level players. I think they're used to dealing with such issues. They understand that everything depends on them. We also have to think everything depends on us. I don't think there is bigger pressure on Celtic than on our home team. So that's his quote. We will try and meet them and qualify for the group stage, and our task is to make it happen, to do everything we can. Celtic is a top club and it's a high-level team that is respected. Just one player is worth more than our entire squad. Any Celtic player is a dangerous player for us. Their attacking players are very dangerous. I cannot single out any individual one. And then Shane, to finish off the article that I'm looking at, he goes, no Scottish team has ever won on Kazakh soil.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one, but we'll get the job done. We're going to sort that out. So I think we'll go over there. I think we're going to win 2-0 because we'll score. Then they're going to have to open up to try and keep the tie alive, and then we'll hit them with a second one. That's how I think it'll work, but I'm prepared for it to go to pens, but I think we'll get the job done 2-0.
I'm thinking 2-0 as well. I think they're going to come out at us very early. I think they're going to try and score very early and put us under immense pressure. We're going to ride that storm. Eventually, the game's going to settle into a little bit of a holding pattern. We'll get control, and then I think we'll score probably before halftime, and then score shortly afterwards after halftime, and just have that buffer that we need, and we'll get through 2-0.
I think we'll score in the 67th minute, and then we'll do another one in the 88th minute. There you go. The magical numbers for us will come in handy. Yeah, so starting lineup, I'm expecting it to pretty much be Casper in goals, Tierney, Ralston at fullback, and then CCV and Scales. Middle of the park will be Kelmac. Bit of a doozy, isn't it? Kelmac, Engels, and Hatade. And then up front, I'll be going Mader in the middle, Yang on the left, and Nigren on the right. That's what I'm thinking.
The only part I agree with you everywhere up until the forward line. So up front, I've got Mader on the left. I've got I'm going to go something a little bit different. I'm going to go Mader on the left. I'm going to go Yamada in the line, and I'm going to go Nigren on the right.
Fair enough. Doesn't matter. Let's just score some bloody goals, Celtic, and get the job done. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking for that there. I'm just going to go to this question here as well. We're talking about, when I said about the time, how you do it. Andrew's like, I'll take a sickie. Maddie says, "Shattered it works the go fellas." And Smell the Glove, do you guys ever get a decent kickoff time? Yeah, we do on Sunday. It's 9:30 p.m. kickoff for us. Perfect. And then once the clocks all change, it goes to hell in a handbasket, really. So yeah, good fun.
The Champions League games sometimes aren't too awful. So Celtic Park time, European night kickoff is usually around 5 a.m. our time currently. which, in the grand scheme of things, isn't awful. This is probably the worst tie kickoff time we've had for quite a while, particularly in Europe. Like 2:45 a.m. is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a bit of a doozy, but anyway, we'll get the job done. Whether we watch it live or just wake up and then watch it and pretend it's live.
Just on Andrew's comment, I'll be chucking a sickie if we don't win, that's for sure.
I've got the advantage of, I don't know, it's an advantage and a disadvantage in that I work from just the other room just over there, so I can't really take a sickie because I'm still where everything is. And is Shane wearing his mankini tomorrow? That's the real question here.
If it helps us win, sure, why not?
Happy days. All right, Shano, we'll wrap the pod up there. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll get a final thought to finish the pod off. So you got one, Shane?
Yeah, I'm just going to give a shout out to the GOAT, the great Andrew Gaze. Absolute legend in Basketball Australia terms. He's done a wonderful job for many, many years. The best Australian basketball player we've ever produced here. And he was announced as being inducted into the Sports Australia Hall of Fame as a legend today. And he's a legend in every sense of the word.
Good on you, Drewy. I'll give you a cuddle next time I see you. Happy days. My final thought is, it's going to be a bit of a downer one, but yeah, if everyone who knows, I lost my mum a few years back, so I just wish she was here because it's her birthday today. So miss your mum. Happy birthday up there, and get the big man and get Celtic a win for us, would you? Perfect. Happy days. Hail, hail. We'll see you next time.
Hail, hail.